Good morning, little nerds. I am Dr. Shereene Idriss, and welcome to my YouTube channel where we do a Pillow Talk Derm every Saturday morning. So without further ado, get your pens and papers ready, get your asses out of bed, and let's jump in because today we're going to cover the 10 most important ingredients that you need when tackling hyperpigmentation, discoloration, or the M word, melasma. So before I jump in though, I do want to say thank you to every single one of you who have joined me on this journey of social media and YouTube. It was only 2.5 years ago that I really started my YouTube seriously, and I really wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hit 500,000 on Instagram on my personal channel last week, which is insane. So the fact that they are coinciding is mind-blowing to me. I just wanted to say thank you from the Pillow Talk Derm side to all of you guys here on YouTube who have really helped support me and grown with me throughout the years, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So without further ado, let's jump in, because pigmentation is not clear cut. It's never going to be about a single ingredient story, because when you're making pigment, there are many different points along the pigment pathway that can get blocked in order to be treated. And a really solid skincare routine includes ingredients that block the pathway at various checkpoints, so that it is a holistic approach at treating hyperpigmentation. We have melanocytes, which are the cells that make the pigment in our epidermis. The melanocytes make melanin, which is what gives our skin its color. And there is an enzyme within the melanocytes, also known as tyrosinase, which is the key enzyme at creating melanin. But within the melanocyte itself, once the melanin is made, it gets transferred into tiny little packages known as melanosomes. And these tiny little packages get distributed throughout the epidermis to give the color of our skin. This gets revved up in states where hyperpigmentation gets produced, and it also can get calmed down when treated correctly. So we can block hyperpigmentation from the melanocyte, the actual cell, inside the melanocyte when melanin is made, the transfer of melanin into the melanosomes, and the transfer of the melanosomes out into the epidermis. So now you understand why I'm so adamant when I'm talking about Pillow Talk Derm, my own skincare line. The Major Fade line, the 3 products include these ingredients to really help block the production of pigment at various different points. It includes them at levels of efficacy that are going to make a statistically significant difference. That is a mouthful. So without further ado, starting with numero uno, before you roll your eyes at me, I am going to say sunscreen. And yes, it's sunscreen, because if you're not proactively protecting your skin, all the time, effort, energy, and money that you are going to be spending, i.e. wasting on yourself trying to tackle this problem, is futile and useless. Sunscreen is the crux of a solid skincare routine, especially when you're talking about melasma or hyperpigmentation, because it's going to help to prevent UV radiation to further damage your cells and promote melanin production, worsening your hyperpigmentation. By preventing it, you're saving yourself a lot of headache down the road. And the way sunscreen works, it really works in 3 main ways. The most important is that it absorbs UV radiation. It takes that energy and converts it and breaks it down so that your body does not absorb it and your skin cells do not absorb it. A small percentage of sunscreens can help by reflecting as well UV rays in order to block and to divert that energy away from your body. And that also helps to create a physical sort of barrier. Now, UV scattering is the 3rd way that sunscreens can also help prevent UV-induced pigmentation, by scattering UV radiation on your skin. So I hope you understand sunscreen is the number 1 most important category, not really ingredient that you need in your routine. Number 2 is hydroquinone, and this is actually an ingredient. One of the, if not the most important ingredient when you're tackling hyperpigmentation, but especially melasma. Without hydroquinone, you cannot quote unquote treat melasma, although you're never actually treating melasma. You're learning how to deal with it. It is unnecessarily feared, however, and it is very unfortunate for the masses who are dealing with hormonal pigmentation and cannot seem to get it under control. It works by inhibiting tyrosinase, that enzyme within the melanocyte, to minimize the production of melanin altogether. And it is extremely powerful at doing that and can lighten the skin. You just want to make sure that you do not try to target spots with hydroquinone, because you can get a halo effect. So instead, it's much better to use it homogeneously all over your face or body surface area that is affected. So let's say you have a scar, don't just try to hit the scar, just put it a little bit all around. You'll get a better result overall. The thing about hydroquinone is that it must be used cyclically. You cannot use it continuously long term because your body can actually get resistant to it. Plus, there is benefit in using a less strong percent of hydroquinone, so anywhere from 4 to maximum 8% to get long-term results, because the higher you go, you have increased risks of irritation, which can actually counterintuitively worsen hyperpigmentation, as well as a really weird condition known as ochronosis, where you get permanent discoloration that cannot be reversed. So I am somebody who prefers something much less strong. It's still prescription, and I use it cyclically, 2 months on, 1 month off, that sort of balance. It must be used under the guise of a dermatologist. Now, in terms of carcinogenicity, is it going to kill me? If you live in a city, your city air is probably going to kill you before the hydroquinone does. Now, all jokes aside, although I wasn't really joking, hydroquinone was studied on rodents, rats and mice, and there was a link to cancer in rodents. However, that link was never proven in humans. And there are several factors that went into play here. The dose is what makes the poison, and the dose was insane in those rodents as well. So not only are humans not rats, well, at least not most humans, but the humans are also not applying or consuming hydroquinone to the extent that it was used in the rodents. Plus, in the rodents, the hydroquinone was given systemically and it wasn't applied topically like it is on your face. And PS, your face is only 4.5% of your body's surface area. It's very small. I would not lose sleep over it. In terms of the second study, it was contaminated with mercury, and it was done in Africa where that hydroquinone was contaminated. And mercury is a very known and established carcinogen. So it was a flawed study. If you're pregnant, just to be safe, I would avoid it because there's no point in having any sort of fear or doubt in your mind. Although, again, probably will not affect you. I would, however, avoid it and did not use hydroquinone when I was pregnant. Moving on to number 2. Alpha-arbutin. Alpha-arbutin is derived from the bearberry plant. It is a much milder and quote-unquote safer, I use that word very lightly, alternative to hydroquinone. If you are pregnant, I would use alpha-arbutin as I tried to use it when I was breastfeeding as well. It is the glycosylated form, so it has glucose stuck to the hydroquinone molecule. It is a bigger molecule than the hydroquinone molecule is in terms of weight and size, and it also works by inhibiting tyrosinase. It is extremely effective as well and must be included in your skincare routine, especially on the months when you're not on hydroquinone. It's also a strong antioxidant, so it's going to protect your skin from oxidative stress. Bonus. If you're nervous, ask your OB, although chances are they don't really know about alpha-arbutin and what to tell you because no studies have ever really been done on pregnant people. Number 4, retinoids. Now, retinoids are a very important ingredient to include if you have hyperpigmentation or melasma because they are the crown jewel when it comes to cellular turnover of your cells, but it also has some effect on tyrosinase within your melanocytes and melanin production. Plus, it disrupts the transfer of melanin from the melanocyte out. So it works 2 different ways on top of regulating cellular turnover and evening out your skin tone in the process. And it helps to boost your collagen. So it's a win-win-win-win. Now, if you're pregnant, we say avoid retinoids because vitamin A in excess amount can really be teratogenic, i.e. extremely harmful, i.e. can potentially affect the birth of your child. So it is not worth it while pregnant. Breastfeeding is another issue where opinions are divided. I say you can go for it when you're breastfeeding and there is not much to be worried about because your child has already been developed and is out of the womb, at least once your child is at term. In terms of number 5, we have tranexamic acid. Tranexamic acid was traditionally used to decrease bleeding. It has been used for years by OBGYNs for women who are basically hemorrhaging during birth. So you may ask me, how does that help with melanocytes, hyperpigmentation, and melasma? It inhibits the production of melanin by blocking the activation of plasmin, which is an enzyme that is needed in the melanin synthesis pathway. So it actually is, they coexist. Plus, tranexamic acid helps to downregulate melanocytes from turning on. So that is also very, very interesting. And last, it has anti-inflammatory properties as well, which when you calm and reduce inflammation and blood flow and swelling to the surface of your face and you have melasma, you know what I'm talking about. That heat that is brought on by flushing can really trigger a melasma flare. And so by blocking that, it is going to help to reduce the risk of melasma appearing on your face. Also can be applied topically as well as be taken orally for hyperpigmentation. And in recent years, we've been prescribing it for people with melasma. The only contraindications are if you have any family history or personal history of blood clots, if you've had a history of strokes, if you have a really strong family history of embolic strokes, meaning clots forming and people stroking out, make sure to get checked before you get on it. You may not be the right candidate for this. Number 6, vitamin C. Now, vitamin C is often put at number 1, but I don't think it's that great on its own. It is a really great antioxidant, but it also has some tyrosinase inhibition as well. Not as strong as hydroquinone, not as strong as alpha-arbutin, but it does definitely help. And it also helps to reduce the existing pigmentation, kind of like how retinoids do, by breaking down the actual melanosomes and melanin that have already been secreted outside of the cells. Vitamin C is a great multi-use ingredient. It's sort of like a jack of all trades but a master of none, but really needed when you are combining it as a whole. But my soft spot for vitamin C is that it helps to boost your other ingredients and other products that you're using, especially sunscreen. So vitamin C is a really strong antioxidant that helps to boost the effects of your sunscreen, allowing it to work smarter for you, not necessarily harder for you. Is it going to replace your sunscreen? No. But is it going to help make it work better? Absolutely. Number 7, we have kojic acid. Now, kojic acid is a little bit spicy because it can be irritating, and at 1%, which is what you really need it to be over the counter, worth a try. It inhibits tyrosinase much like the other ingredients do, and it also has antioxidant properties as well that help to reduce the oxidative stress formed by UV radiation and pollution. Number 8, you may like to eat this when you go to the movies or not, but licorice root, believe it or not, is a really good ingredient to include in a brightening routine because it is derived from the root of the licorice plant, and it contains glabridin, licoritin, glycyrrhizin, and those are the 3 big ones. I may have butchered them, but that is okay. It has anti-inflammatory effects to help soothe and reduce redness and irritation associated with hyperpigmentation. And what's interesting is the glycyrrhizin is another compound found in licorice that has also been studied for its skin lightening effects. But the glabridin also has been shown to inhibit melanin production as well. So whatever this powerful root has is super important to include in your routine. Number 9 is azelaic acid, and azelaic acid is one that is very well known amongst dermatologists. Very interesting tidbit, azelaic acid was first discovered through a yeast known as the Malassezia yeast. When it becomes hyphenated and it becomes tinea versicolor, which is a rash on people that appears as white spots, it secretes azelaic acid. And these white spots are white because of the azelaic acid. It works at blocking tyrosinase and normalizing cellular turnover, and ironically having anti-inflammatory effects, making the rash appear lighter and whiter than the rest of the skin. So azelaic acid is a very good additive ingredient to include in a skincare routine, especially if you have melasma, and it blocks melanin dispersion as well. So it helps to block how melanin is dispersed throughout the skin, so it evens it out if you have areas of hyper-regulatory effects of your pigmentation. And last, number 10 is niacinamide. Niacinamide is a vitamin B3. It's a multifunctional skincare ingredient that is really great at inhibiting how melanosomes are transferred out from the melanocyte to the rest of your skin. That can lead to hyperpigmentation. And it also has anti-inflammatory effects that can really strengthen your skin barrier. You do not need to have it at more than 5% in any of your products. If it is in several steps of your routine, as long as it's not over 5%, it doesn't really matter. It is going to help with your barrier function and with your overall skin tone. So those are the top 10 ingredients that you need in a very solid skincare routine when you are addressing hyperpigmentation, discoloration, or melasma. Melasma needs hydroquinone, but when you are off hydroquinone, you must include all of these ingredients consistently over time in order to be on top of that hormonal fluctuation that can really trigger a flare-up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be linking products below, and I will catch you guys next week. Have a beautiful weekend.